Hi, my name's Nick. I'm a naturalist and conservationist living in Norfolk in the UK. A year ago, I was down in the dumps. I was fed up and I was thinking to myself, what are you going to do next? So I decided to do what any right-thinking naturalist would do, which is go and see all of the big cats in the world in a single year. There's a backstory here. Big Cats and I have known each other for a long time. For 10 years I lived in South America, in Bolivia, and I spent more than a year of my life in a fabulous place in northeast Bolivia called Parque Nacional Noel Mercado. Here I got to know jaguars and pumas and saw lots of smaller cats, including ocelots and jaguarundis. After that I spent several years in Asia, and I spent a great deal of time tracking tigers. I've also had the privilege on a couple of occasions to go to Ladakh and watch snow leopards in the wild. Of course, it's not an easy thing to do to go and see all the big cats in the world in a single year, but here I've got an advantage as well. For the last 17 years, I've led nature watching holidays for a fantastic company called NatureTrek. Their website is www.naturetrek.co.uk. So I picked up the phone to NatureTrek and I said, NatureTrek, I want to go and see all of the big cats in the world in a single year. And they said, Nick, that sounds like a cracking idea. So we set it up. And here's the plan. Next week, in late January, I'll be going to Tanzania, leading a trip on which I hope to see lions, cheetahs, and leopards. There's also the possibility on this trip of smaller cats, including servals, maybe caracals if I were very lucky, and perhaps African wildcats. Then I'm at home for a little bit before going to Asia for a long old spell of leading trips. First I'm going to Ladakh to look for snow leopards for the third year running, and my trusty friend Shay, who has seen more snow leopards than you can shake a stick at, will be going with me. After snow leopards, I go back to central India, which has been a stomping ground of mine for a long time, and I'll be travelling through Tadoba National Park, Pench, Kanha, and finally Satpura in search of tigers, leopards, which I hope to have seen in Africa by this point, but I'll be looking for in Asia as well. Also here, there's a great chance of my bumping into a jungle cat. Next, I go to the far west of India, to the state of Gujarat. And this is the last place in Asia where there are still wild lions. Also around here, there's a great chance of seeing more leopards, and there's the possibility of seeing jungle cats and the rarely seen desert wildcat. After India, I move straight to Borneo, and here particularly I'm looking for the near-fabled Sunda clouded leopard. Until just recently, the clouded leopard was thought to be a single species, but genetic research has clearly shown there are two species, the Asian clouded leopard on the mainland, and in Sumatra and Borneo, the Sunda clouded leopard. Nobody's really ever tried to look for them in the way we will be before, so we don't know whether we'll see them, but fingers crossed. Also in Borneo, there's a chance of seeing leopard cats and a much smaller chance of seeing flat-headed cats, marbled cats, and if we were exceptionally lucky, the beautiful bay cat. After that, I'm at home in the UK for a while. I'll be going to Scotland in the end of May and the beginning of June to give some lectures, and while I'm there, I'll be at least trying to see the Scottish wildcat, sadly now very rare indeed. Through the summer I'll be at home, but more on that in a little moment. And in the autumn I'm going to South America. First to the Brazilian Pantanal, just across the border from the parts of the Pantanal I worked in Bolivia. These days there's a good chance in the Pantanal of seeing the fabulous jaguar. From here then to Chile, to the far south, to Torres del Paine. And in Torres del Paine I'll be looking for pumas. Finally back to Brazil, in the hope of catching up with more jaguars and maybe the odd other cat like an ocelot or a jaguarundi. There are other things in the pipeline this year too, but that's all that's signed and sealed for now. While I'm in the UK, I will still be thinking about cats. This isn't about just romping around the world and seeing cats. It's about finding out about the landscapes that they live in. It's about talking to the people who live alongside them, the people who fear them, the people whose livelihoods, perhaps their livestock, are threatened by big cats. It's about exploring conservation, seeing what can be done, talking to the people who breed them in captivity, who have projects around the world. Now, because of my track record with wildlife over the last 20 years, I've got lots of friends and contacts around the world, and I'll be writing about them, talking to them, making videos with them all through 2015. So how do you find out about all of this? Well, the first thing to go to is my blog. High sophistication here, the link is comparethemarshtit.blogspot.com. That's comparethemarshtit.blogspot.com. Everything I write will be published there on my blog, plus loads and loads of video content too. If you want to follow me on Twitter, my Twitter is @themarshtit, and all through the year for my Big Cat Quest, I will be using the simple hashtag BigCatQuest. So the adventure begins next week in Tanzania. All through 2015, I'll be here telling you about cats, telling you about the people who live with cats and the landscapes that they live in. I hope that you'll join me for the journey.